I have been looking over your resume, and I have to say I am very impressed.
Oh, thank you.
You know, actually, I think, to be honest, you are overqualified to be an accountant.
Oh, well, that's okay. I don't intend to work very hard.
I don't intend to work very hard.
Hello, and welcome to Shep Rambles, where I am Shep, and I tend to ramble about what? Anything and everything. And we're going to be talking about jobs, job interviews. I came across this article, at least on my phone, when I was just browsing through stuff. And then when I was pulling this up on my computer to do the video, I came across another article also from Susie Welch, or about Susie Welch, I don't know. And I thought, hey, let's just combine it together into one video. So, 3 things you should always do in a job interview, and 1 mistake to avoid at all costs. Salud. Let's talk about that. Susie Welch. No, I don't think that's her. Don't get stuck when an employer throws a curveball interview question at you. What? Now, if you watched my previous video, and it depends upon one of my previous videos, it was about Uber and Lyft and how much this guy in New York City was making. And I made a comment on there about how I hate corporations and how they do interviews nowadays, because they ask you all these questions and they throw these trick questions in there which tell you absolutely nothing. You know, you have a good candidate there in front of you, and just because they didn't answer your question the way you were expecting, you toss them out the door. And that person was probably very qualified and would have done a really good job. So I hate these questions with a passion. I hate those little computer kiosk things that ask you 100 questions, because they're testing to see if you're lying by throwing curveball questions and all this stuff and all these algorithms. And you know what? It's like, throw out all that garbage and put a little bit of work into your interview and actually get to know the person that you're interviewing them and ask some common sense questions. Not all this crap that they come up with. You guys know what I'm talking about, and we're going to read about some of that here. So, dress appropriately for the environment. All right, common sense. All right, it's always been like this. While a suit and tie or high heels and a skirt may no longer be the traditional interview uniform, Welch says that doesn't mean you can totally relax your attire. See, she suggests asking someone you know about the dress code at the company, or doing a simple Google search to find images of current employees. I wouldn't rely on that. Then she says you should pick out an appropriate outfit for the occasion that's comfortable but not too flashy. My recommendation, just from my experience, take the business casual, which is, okay, we'll say for guys, okay? Collared shirts, slacks, and maybe just bump it up just a little bit more. I've gone to interviews wearing a suit, and that hasn't always worked for me. But I think if you're in between business casual and that, you should at least hit this mark. But who's to say on all the other things that they have? Be direct. Say you want the job. After you've discussed your background and accomplishments, Welch says you should end the meeting by telling the employer one thing: I really want this job. I've kind of said that too on some things, because I've gone to some interviews where, I was interested in the job. But that didn't really make a difference. But I guess it can't hurt, right? I mean, if you're applying for something that you think is really going to be a good fit for you, my thing would be, let them know that you really want, that you really want the job, and what it would mean for you to work there, and what you can provide them. Sell yourself. Follow up promptly. Performing well during the interview is only half the battle. According to Welch, it's what you do after an interview that can make or break your chances of getting an offer. In addition to writing a personalized thank you note that expands on at least one point of discussion from the interview, Welch says you should edit your social media accounts and connect with your interviewer on LinkedIn. That's a little new. I do have a LinkedIn account. I don't really update it very much, but I know that's kind of a big thing these days, I guess. After your interview, post intelligent tweets about your industry or the economy. And please avoid stupid Instagram pics. And one thing for sure, if you've got a Facebook account, clean it up. She also warns that when sending a LinkedIn request, you don't want to just click a button. Say something about how much you enjoyed the meeting and discussing X, Y, or Z. One mistake to make sure you avoid, according to Welch. I hear Welch and I think of like Welch's grape soda. Acting too casual or relaxed during a job interview is one of the biggest blunders you can make. I think you should relax, but I don't think you should, like what they would tell us in the Army, act like you're back on the block. Block as in like neighborhood block. It's like, yo, man, what's up? I'm like looking for this job, and this is what I can offer you, and yo. You probably don't want to do that unless you're applying to some hip-hop rap job or something.
Oh, man, let's get out of here. Word to your mother.
Anyways, she recalls the time when she made this error as a recent Harvard University graduate who was interviewing for a reporting job with the Kansas City Times. Even if you think you're perfect for the job, they are the buyer, you are the seller. Do not let down your guard. But I think that, you don't want to come off being like a stuck-up, either. I think it's okay to kind of, try to be positive with them and at least show that you're a human being who's capable of being lighthearted and have a sense of humor. That to me has always seemed to be an important thing, because they want to be able to know that they can get along with you and that you're not just some hard ass.
You can't handle the truth.
Who knows? I haven't really done any interviewing for people, so I don't know. Hey, if you're like a manager and you do job interviews, what do you look for? I'd be interested in that. All right, so here's the other article. Susie Welch. I think this is Susie Welch right here. How to answer 7 of the most common job interview questions. Okay, here's those stupid questions I was telling you about. Tell me about yourself. Okay, so I mentioned how with interviews, get to know the person. So I'm okay with that question. When asked to discuss yourself in an interview, Welch says employers are looking for two key things in your answer: maturity and authenticity. So if you go in there like, yo, man, let me tell you, I keep it real. Yo, man, I keep it real. Word to your mother. That's why she says you shouldn't be afraid to show who you really are. Well, depending on how you really are, you might want to be Might want to keep it in check. I don't know. The interview, usually your future boss wants to know the parts of your life story that relate to you doing well in the open job. Just some personal things should probably be left personal. Unlike nowadays where some people like to throw their whole personal life up on Facebook. And there are just some things you probably should just keep to yourself. That's what I'm talking about. What are your salary requirements? Talking about your salary requirements with a potential employer can be difficult. If you undersell yourself, Welch says you run the risk of being underpaid and undervalued from day one. But if you oversell yourself, you could price yourself right out of a job offer. And I know this is the question I always have, is how do you know what the right answer is? So, to effectively answer this question, Welch says you should follow 3 simple steps. Do your research. Determine how much leverage you have and come up with an appropriate salary range. Well, try to do the research and see what people are making for that type of job. Don't blurt out what you think you're worth or what you think they want to hear. Instead, show your diligence and maturity. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3. I don't know if it's easy, but do the best you can. Tell me about a mistake you made. Yeah, that's one of those questions I don't like. Being asked to discuss your past mistakes in an interview may throw you for a loop, but Welch says many hiring managers ask this question because they're trying to figure out if you own your mistakes or if you're the kind of jerk who passes blame around. Okay, I get that. She adds the interviews are also trying to figure out how well you react when things don't go as planned. That's why, Welch emphasizes, it's important to pick the right mistake that's big enough to show you've got the bumps and bruises of real experience, but small enough to convey you are generally highly competent. But even with the right mistake in mind, Welch warns that you want to be sure not to ruin your chances of landing the job by focusing on the Really? She walks right in front of me and then starts cleaning. Spend the majority of your answer to this question on the aftermath of your mistake, what you learned and the ways you changed and how you grew. Come here, girl. You're mine. Do you have any questions? Nope, I'm good. As an interview comes to an end, it's almost guaranteed that a hiring manager will ask, do you have any questions? And according to Welch, your answer can either hurt or improve your chances of landing the job. This is one of those trick question things I hate. Rather than responding with a simple answer like, what would a typical day look like for me? Welch says you should use this opportunity to shine. Shine like the sun. She emphasizes that you should ask questions that show you've been listening and that you know how to think big. A good example, she says, is asking something like, I just read an interesting article about how your competitors are using artificial intelligence. How are you thinking about that development? I guess that depends upon what kind of job you're interviewing for. The type of answer, Welch explains, will show a potential employer that you are thinking ahead about the company and how it operates. Describe yourself in 3 words. Describing yourself in 3 words can be a real challenge when you're trying to prove to a hiring manager that you're a well-rounded, maybe not necessarily physically,
Big, healthy, husky, fluffy, and damn!
candidate. But, Welch says, regardless of how hard this question may seem, interviewers love to ask it in order to evaluate if you're authentic and self-aware. There's 2. Describe yourself in 3 words. I'm well-rounded, I'm authentic, and I'm self-aware.
Oh, hell no!
There you go. You're welcome. To deliver the perfect answer, she says you want to offer a response that describes how your mind works, to demonstrate your character, and reveals something interesting about you. Number 6. What are your greatest strengths? Discussing your strengths in an interview may sound easy, but Welch's Grape Soda explains how this common interview question is one that many people still get wrong. When preparing your answer, she says you should always make sure that your response passes what she refers to as the ARSI test. This means, is your response accurate, relevant, specific, and interesting? Let a piece of you shine through. Let your humanity shine through. But hey, what's your current salary? Number 7. Asking about a candidate's current salary is banned in some states, but it's still legal in others, which is why Welch says you should always be prepared to deliver a proper response to this question. People are going to tell you that you should game this conversation, she says, or that you should dodge this question by talking about ranges. That is no way to start a relationship. Instead, Welch says you should follow a 2-step process when discussing your current salary with a potential employer. The first step, she explains, is to do your research so that you know your market value. The second step, she says, is to disclose your current salary and then make the case of how much you think you should be paid. In the end, nothing else matters. Lincoln Park. She says, if your potential employer games you in this conversation, it's a warning sign. Come on, Talia. This way. Stop walking in front of me. Oh, okay. Well, that's it. Click here to read more about how to answer this interview question. Well, all right. You can click on that if you want to. I'll give you the links to both of these articles. In the meantime, do you have a kitty that likes to walk in front of you while you're trying to do stuff on the computer? What are your experiences with job interviews? No, hey! Stop walking on the keyboard. Really, Talia? Oh, my word. You are really being a snot. You know that? Come here. Yeah, so what's your experience on both sides of job interviewing? Whether you're the interviewer or whether you're the interviewee. Is there a job that you got that had some tough questions that you had to answer? What about jobs that you interviewed for that you didn't get because the questions were just way out there? I've had those. And then on the flip side, as far as interviewing is concerned, for those of you that do interview for employees, what is it that you look for? And do you just ask these questions because those are the questions you're given? Or are these just common sense questions that you truly want to know? I think that some interview questions that are out there are just like, I don't know, run-of-the-mill standard questions that you have to ask or something, you know, instead of it being a little bit more personalized. Anyway, that's just my whole feeling. And I'm interested in what you guys have to say. So leave some comments down in the comments section below. And if you could subscribe to the channel and do a thumbs up for me, that would be awesome. I would really appreciate it. And what do you get in return? Well, you get a notification letting you know when a new video comes up on this channel, because I do more stuff than just this. And what was that notification bell thing? I suppose you can click that and ring that bell or whatever it is. I'm not sure what the difference between that and just subscribing, because I think you subscribe and you get notified. So I guess I got cat hair in my mouth. I guess the notification bell is so you can get notified without subscribing. But why would you want to do that? Come on, subscribe. Be cool. Be a killer follower. Be a Shep Rambler. Be part of my rambling team and subscribe. All right, well, thanks for joining me on this rambling session, and I will ramble again with you very soon. Have a good one. Will you stop hitting me with your tail?